Welcome to today's presentation in the challenge, and this one's an interesting one. I've had a lot of requests for basically to show the tools that I use, and you've heard me saying again and again during this market leadership module that you want to practice market leadership standing up. And I want to try explain what I mean by that. Now, the first thing I've got to get right up front. Do you need any of the things that I'm about to show you for you to be successful in your niche and indeed to practice market leadership? Answer, absolutely not. Okay, you just don't. You do not need them. However, as I say, these have made my life extraordinarily more efficient and useful, and so I thought I would take the opportunity here to show you exactly what I use and how I practice this passive fueling up and indeed turn the passive into active, like I gave you sort of a little sneak preview of yesterday. All right, let's get cracking. The first thing that I wanted to show you was my iPad, and this is my front screen. Between the iPad and the iPhone, it really does allow me pretty much to run my business wherever I happen to be. About the only thing I can't do, and I can even do that on the new iPhone, is video. Now, I suppose there's no iPad equivalents at the moment. There certainly will be. There'll be various things that will come out over the course of the next 12 months, I'm sure. But of course, when I say iPhone, I could just as easily be saying any sort of Android phone. And I notice people in the forum are already putting up Android phone equivalents, which is fantastic. So you might want to check out the challenge forum for equivalents. But I think people are always interested to see, how people run their business. And so I wanted to show you this and give you a feel for exactly how I do it. First of all, of course, is just staying in touch with your marketplace, and I love doing email and these sorts of things on my iPad and my iPhone. Particularly the iPad in particular is extremely efficient and just feels very natural to respond to email. I really quite enjoy it. I certainly love doing all of my surfing online. I just really find it fantastic. And I don't know if you've ever had the chance to have a look at the challenge on the iPad. Well, truth be told, we designed it for it. It looks absolutely superb. It's a wonderful way for getting content and stuff like PDFs and so on, which are beautiful to read. The thing for me, though, because it's got such huge battery power, it's funny. You think, wow, battery power, no big deal, but it actually makes a huge difference to be able to just grab something and go, and just wherever you happen to be. If you're like me, it's 5 minutes waiting for the girls to finish ballet, or it's in the queue at the bank, or it's rather than just sitting cooped up in front of your office, getting out and going to a coffee shop and doing some work. That for me shows one of the very first benefits that you'll all get out of this business is the fact that you don't have to turn up to an office. You don't have to be sitting in a certain spot from 9 to 5 with an hour off for lunch if you're lucky. That with this business you are able to, at the very least, even when you're not making money initially, at least you've got the choice of where you want to conduct it. And that's what I love about the tools, particularly stuff like the iPad and the iPhone, because it does really give you that initial sense of flexibility. So let's take a little closer look at the front page. I think it's funny, front pages of people's iPhones and iPads or Android phones are they're an insight into that person's mind. So I just wanted to talk you through some of the key things that I use. And of course, as we've said time and time again, fueling up is exactly the most crucial thing as part of this market leadership. How can you possibly participate in a market until you have some feel for it, or at least want to get into it? And that's what we've been talking about this week. And this week's about fueling up. And I suppose the important thing for you guys to understand is that I showed you Google Reader yesterday, and I showed it to you online, but in all truth, I don't use it online. I use it on my iPad and my iPhone because I find this particular application, you can see, and I put it up there on screen, Reader, Reeder, is just so superior to being able to actually process, absorb, retain, and act on information. I mean, it is just superb to use. And so that's what I use on both I use Reader for iPad and I use Reader for iPhone. And of course, this can just simply, you just type in your Google username and password, and it sucks down all of the material. And one of the awesome things it does is it sucks it down so fast. It's immensely fast. So you can process through things just so much more easily. And so, as I showed you yesterday, you'll see, your screen, if you look at, this is all of course, my unreads. Of course, if I take you back here, you can see if I had a shorter period of time, usually I hit Vital Reads. That's the first one I tap up. If I'm wanting to see what's going on with Arsenal, I'll tap the Arsenal one. If I'm looking at the buying and selling market, you see how it does these beautiful files and folders, which is just fantastic. So if you've only got a few seconds to have a look at something, then you can pick something that you can process in just a few seconds. Here is, sort of just an example of what it looks like from my, I think that's my Vital Reads folder. And, you can see how quickly, because of the headlines and the way it displays it, and it looks so beautiful, is that you can quickly go and you can skip through literally, I would have 300 to 400 articles every morning waiting for me when I wake up. And I can skip through and process those in about 15 minutes. And the way I do it is I skip through to anything that I see, and you can see there that the California Universities one is highlighted. And then I literally click on, it gives me the whole article and I can go through and read that. But here's the cool thing. If I don't have enough time, see in the top right-hand corner of that box, there's a little icon called Instapaper. We introduced you to Instapaper yesterday, and this is where it gets super, super, super powerful. Is I tap up Instapaper there, and it automatically just, boom, it goes to Instapaper. I don't even have to think about it. It takes seconds. It actually happens in the background, so I can continue on reading, and I don't even notice. I also love the fact that if I see something that I'd like to tweet to my marketplace, then I can just tap that little Twitter button, and I can do a tweet while I'm there processing it. I may indeed want to mail it to somebody, and I can mail it. I can mail the article. I could literally set up a posterous post from inside here. And it just works brilliantly. Typically, though, anything that's long, I'll tap onto Instapaper so I can tackle it when I've got more time. And indeed, here's how Instapaper looks on the iPad. And again, it is just beautiful. And the ability for me to go in there and have a read. And more importantly, this is where I structure a lot of my posterous posts for it. Because when you hit the share button, if you go into any of these articles on the iPad or the iPhone, you've got a little share button. And you tap the share button and it allows you to literally email that and the highlighted text that you've highlighted. And it looks beautiful. It sets it up as a quote. And it just looks beautiful. You only have to look at eddale.co to see just how it looks. It looks sensational. It informs your market. And most importantly, it absolutely, embeds anything, because anything that you share or you take that extra bit of activity, you remember far more than something that you read passively. And remember, that's what this is all about. So they're the core tools that I use. Now, I've mentioned, in the Evernote, when we introduced to you Evernote, I did mention that I personally don't use Evernote. The reason we use Evernote, and it's just brilliant, make no mistake, but the reason, because I've got an all Mac system here, I actually use Simple Note, and I gave you the details for Mac users who are interested. I gave you those details, but I love it because any note that I make, I know is instantaneously synchronized amongst every single device and computer I owned. And I came to an incredible realization that really, all this word processing stuff and all this, it's just not necessary. You don't need it. You just need to capture your ideas, and you want something that's simple and gets out of the way. So Simple Note to me is just absolutely crucial. And in fact, it's gone through a huge update. The icon doesn't even look like that anymore. And it's made it even more useful. It really is just superb. So I use that a lot. Dropbox is something that I use to share files amongst all of the team. All the people at 30DC have a Dropbox. And indeed, what I actually do is all my core and important files I actually now save to Dropbox on all my computers and my devices. So I know if I'm ever stuck out somewhere, I've always got access to that file. It's saved me so many times I can't tell you. In fact, you might notice and I love the introductions this week, shot on the magnificent GH1 Panasonic camera. And they look beautiful. But anyway, point being that we realised we got out to location and we'd left behind all the notes, all our planning notes. And I said, and then I just thought for a second and thought, oh, no worries, Rob, I've got Dropbox. So I just whipped it up on the iPhone 4 and we had all our notes to shoot from, which was fantastic. So, we utilised that a lot. Obviously, all of my calendar and everything is in the cloud. I use Google Calendar, totally free, totally available. You can share it. You can do all sorts of flexible things. There are all sorts of tools which interact with it. I also do that with my contacts as well. So, everything is cloud-based, so it's device independent. And I suppose that's another theme, if you like, of this tools episode. If you set yourself up to be, inverted commas, in the cloud, it just, it makes your life a lot easier. And this, please don't freak out. If this is all sounding a bit too much, don't worry about it. What we're showing you is more than enough, but, if you want to see how I do it, then, I'm showing you. There's wonderful applications on like Tungle, and I use Zendesk for my help desk for the mentoring program. I just love all those sorts of things. And then for my, task management, I use a program called Things, which is, again, a Mac-based program, but it uses the getting things done methodology. And if you've always found task management a bit of a challenge, I can really recommend the book Getting Things Done by David Allen. Changed my life when I read that. Really is a phenomenal book and just makes total sense, exactly what I do. So that's another tool and use there. Now, before I go off this page, I didn't mention Flipboard. And Flipboard is and it is single-handedly the way I love looking at Twitter, and I love looking at Facebook and all the things I want to stay and take advantage of. Do a Google search for it so you can have a look and see, if you don't have an iPad, what it is, but it is wonderful. And I've been very excited for it. You need to take note of these apps because it's going to change the way we interact with information. You can see down there on the bottom, you can see my core applications and see Osfura there. That's a Twitter client that I use on the iPad. And as we say with my little friend here, that's my iPhone screen. You can see there, Instapaper's still there, Reader's still there. I use Twitter Later Pro as my Twitter client on my iPhone. You can see Things is even more prominent there. And the reason I do that is, of course, that, I can quickly, I need to add a to-do. It makes more sense to do that on the phone than it does on an iPad. And you'll notice I've got a photography group there, and I have all my go-to photography apps because, again, one of the things about a smartphone, any smartphone, personally, I prefer an iPhone by 3 million miles. You might have picked up on that. But here's the thing. All of these have the ability to capture audio, and you notice one of my prominent applications there is voice memos, video, photography, all of these sorts of things. And it's so cool because what you're able to do is constantly capture information that you can send to your marketplace. You see a funny sign that your marketplace might be interested. Take a photo, post it up, email it on Posterous. And this is the thing, once you start, when you get into this process of fueling up and proper market leadership, you'll be amazed what happens. You'll be amazed what opportunities present themselves, and the opportunities for you to put a piece of content into your marketplace. And that's what it's all about. It's all about that content. And the great thing about smartphones is that it makes it really super simple for you to have it out about. A camera will do. Anything will do. If you don't have a camera, fine, right. Just because you don't have a tool is not an excuse to give up, okay? That is very, 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 very important for you lot to understand. Just because you don't have these access to the tools, it's not time to give up. I just wanted to do today, and I wanted to show you this so that you could see not only how we recommend a beginner that's just starting out to do it, but also where you can take this, because it saves you so much time and gives you so much flexibility. So, action points for today. Very simply, I want you to keep fueling up. I want you to spend 10 minutes doing a free writing exercise to create some content. Find something interesting that you see today, and obviously have a look in your Google Reader, which we showed you how to do yesterday. Find something that's interesting, post it to your Posterous network. Let it send out, and just keep noting those ideas in Evernote, blog ideas, and so on. All right, we will see you tomorrow. Speak soon.